Welcome to the Superconscious Success Podcast, where Jen and her Superconscious Success family co-hosts bring you valuable content each and every week on topics relating to manifestation, spirituality, and most of all, using your superconscious to manifest success in all areas of your life. Now on to today's episode.
Hey there, Superconscious Success fam. Welcome to the Superconscious Success podcast segment, Raising Prosperity Consciousness. In this segment, I interview experts on the topic of manifesting money and business success by raising our consciousness levels and altering our perception of lack. Now, my guests will discuss topics such as manifesting prosperity with the divine, altering money mindset from one of poverty to one of prosperity, and reprogramming our belief systems to be one of complete abundance. Now, I am so excited to have our guest on today, yet another awesome guest that is going to talk to us about manifesting money and bringing soul clients into your business. Now, Petia Kolibova is an alignment coach who guides women to intuitively connect with their inner vision so that they may experience personal and professional magnetism and become unapologetically abundant, as her podcast says. Her mission is to empower visionaries who are on the path to embody their fullest self-expression, to soulfully expand into a quantum leap in all dimensions of their lives. Now, Petia gives immense clarity and exact steps to unlock women's divine feminine and abundance mindset. Now, through subconscious work as a certified breathwork facilitator, reiki, NLP, and human design practitioner, she leads her 6- and 7-figure clients to their next level in life and business. Now, if she's not interviewing fellow experts on her podcast, Unapologetically Abundant, traveling the world with her husband, hosting retreats or reading, you're going to find her in nature, disconnecting from the world, connecting even deeper to herself. That's a woman after my own heart. I absolutely love nature, and that's exactly what I do when I'm just needing a little bit of time out. Hi, Petia, how are you going today?
I am doing wonderful. Thank you for such an amazing intro and also for having me. I love that we connected through this topic
Yeah.
because I feel like it's so important. I truly believe when good people make great money, we can create amazing things into this world, and
Absolutely.
I feel like times are changing, so we get to change with them.
Yeah, we do. And I think it is incredibly important that the visionaries out there and the people that are really wanting to make those big changes, that we learn that money's simply energy and that it can be created whenever we desire it. And of course, the more we have, the more we're actually going to be able to offer the value that we're wanting to offer. So I totally agree with you. Now, before we get into the nitty gritty and all the juicy stuff, can you let everybody know your personal story and how you kind of became so interested in this topic?
Thank you. I feel like it's so important to start like where we were so people can understand where we are, because it's sometimes so easy. We look at people online, the authorities online who already are doing the things that we would love to be doing. And we are like, well, good for you, but how do I get there, right? So I really love sharing the past story so people can understand that gap. So not they only see me as, our podcast, it's to top 2% globally, which I'm so thankful for. We just launched our book that became a bestseller. I have multiple 6-figure online coaching business. I married the love of my life, and we are living in Tulum. So in Mexico, Caribbean, because people are like, what's Tulum? So it's white sand beaches, crystal blue water, unless we have algae, like in rainy season. But it's so easy for people look at and then say like, oh, it's too far, like I cannot get there. But if this girl from very small, super small town from Czech Republic with unpronounceable name can live this life, anyone can. Because I really come from the scarcity, and I didn't grow up in poverty, but in scarcity. And there is a huge difference, because when we see scarcity, people think like, oh, it's someone who is like living in a street and doesn't have money. And yes, there was a part of my life that I lived, like surf couching, not literally on a street, but I ran away from home when I was 18 and lived, with my friends. But the scarcity, we have a feeling of not enoughness.
Yeah.
And that is just like, it goes into so many areas of our lives, because when I was born, if I would believe in accidents, I would say I was born by accident, because my mom was dating my biological dad for 2 years, got pregnant the first time she had an encounter with him.
Oh.
And there was an accident, right? So my whole life, I created this story like, I shouldn't be here.
Yeah.
I'm here by accident. I don't matter. Her life would be better without me than with me. And that's really showing all areas of my life, and also has to say a lot about how worthy my mom felt, because she got remarried with a partner who was physically and mentally abusive to me. So it just added, right? I felt unlovable, unworthy, turned into toxic relationship in very, very, very early age. And I developed eating disorder when I was just a little bit over 11 years old.
Wow.
18 years old, I ran away from home, and then I lived with a partner who was even worse than my dad, right? Because we go to what feels known and familiar, doesn't mean better or safe, right? It's just running to familiar. And there I felt so hopeless that I attempted for suicide.
Okay.
So all of that was like the base of my life. That's what happens when we are little kids. We create the stories, and that creates the base of our lives, and we keep living it up until we pass and we become conscious about what is really happening. And what's happening in my reality right now, it's what I really want to be living. Do I still truly want to believe in those old beliefs, right? So we get to wake up, and there's a lot of types of awakenings. But when I came into my age 30, it's like, I think I was around 29. There was a thing called Saturn in return. When the planet Saturn, it's an exact point when you were born. And, I didn't hear about it. Like, I'm 38 now, and I haven't heard about it up until 2 years ago, something like that, when guest on my podcast was talking, I was like, oh my gosh, that makes sense. Like me, like divorcing and later quitting a job and like healing my eating disorder. Like there was like so many things that were happening in that, like around that year. So I feel like that was when my life really started changing. When I realized, like, if I keep living like this, I will literally take my own life, because this is not possible to live. So that's like my life story up until around like a decade ago. And that's when I really awakened to, there must be something else. I'm meant for more. Like, I thought that it would be so cruel and silly for human beings to live this way. Like, imagine if you think about it, right? Like, most people are like, I am born, I'll go to schools, get a good grades, get a good job, get a 2.5 kids, and then I will be drinking every weekend and living for vacations and hustle and work hard to provide a better life for my kids than I had it. That's the meaning of my life, and then I will die, and that's it.
Yeah, and unfortunately, that's kind of like the story of so many people's lives, isn't it? It's like the average person, that's what they believe. The white picket fence and all of that. So what you telling your story, we know how important self-worth is. And so what connection do you believe that the level of self-worth has in relationship to our quality of life, to our manifestation, to money, the energy of money in itself? What relationship do you think they have together?
I feel like there's a direct correlation, of course, because how do you see yourself? And it's fascinating. I recorded a solo podcast about it, because there was like this click. I'm like, oh my gosh, like it has direct correlation to so many things, because how you feel about yourself, you are teaching others how to treat you and how to feel about you. And that will translate directly into your health, your money, your relationships, like everything. So it all starts with you and how do you see yourself? Because I always tell my clients, listen, like I tell my clients, if you want to like quick fixes, go ask Uncle Google, don't hire me. I'm
Yeah,
much more exclusive than Google and YouTube, because some people, they're like, I want a strategy and tips, like how to make more money, get more clients, and I will be happy. I was like, no, you won't, because you didn't change in the process. It's really
exactly.
about who you're becoming. Because listen, Jennifer, I've done that. I
Mm-hmm.
made it quick money, and I feel like I spend it even quicker,
Mm-hmm.
because I didn't feel worthy of having the good life and having the good experiences. Who am I to have an easy life? I have to like prove that I'm good enough, and I have to work really hard. And there were times that I had like 4 jobs, like
Yeah.
side hustles and working so much. And I was so frustrated with life. So it
Mm,
has direct correlation. How you see yourself, how worthy you are feeling, it's going to really translate in everything, in all of your relationships in your life, your job, your intimate relationships, your friendships, and of course, a relationship with money.
yeah.
The thing is that when I started my journey of abundance, and when coaches say like, oh, money is just energy, I'm like, I don't get it.
Yeah.
Like, I am such a visual person, and I'm like so conceptual. I'm like, I don't, well, it's just the energy. So feel better, and you will do it. I'm like, I don't get it. Like, I have money in my bank account and I have it in my what do you mean energy? Like, I couldn't like
Yeah.
because I'm so visual. I'm like, I gotta see. It's like the same with like faith, right? Like my husband believe in
Yeah.
God. I'm like, well, I never seen him. So what? Like it takes so much reprogramming. Like, listen, you cannot see the gravity, and most of the time, hopefully you don't see the air, because if you see, there's a problem.
Yeah.
So like there's so many things we cannot see or grab. Like I cannot grab the air and it's still here, right?
Yeah.
So money, its energy didn't work for me at the beginning of my journey. I had to like study the quantum physics books to
Mm-hmm.
like grasp it, and it's like heavy when you're a beginner, right? Like you feel stupid, like
Very
I don't
heavy.
get
Yeah.
it, like what's wrong with me, right? And we go back into scarcity. I'm not enough, I might be silly because I
And then
don't
of
understand.
course, you're also around people that are telling you you're crazy because, you try saying, oh, money's energy, and they go, no, it's not. It's like this paper and it's in the bank account. Now, the thing is that there's, when we talk about money and we talk about scarcity mindset versus poverty, you said there's a difference, and scarcity is not feeling enough. It's that feeling of lack, and it can happen in all different areas, not literally just money. We have, scarcity of time and all sorts of different things. So say that somebody is struggling and they're living paycheck to paycheck, and they're trying to manifest that money, and they're doing the hustle and they're doing the grind. How may they start to alter that mindset? Does that come down to them starting to feel like that they deserve it? Because I think that, if you look at lotto winners, there are so many lotto winners out there that they've lost the money within, the first 6 months. Is that because of a lack of worthiness?
It, like for every person is going to be different, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's so many layers to that. So it would
Absolutely.
be easy to like, hey, let's put it in a box of not worthiness. You start feeling worthy. And I have a mini course of like, unapologetically worthy,
Yeah.
and then it's not like you will take my course, you will feel better and you can start changing your life, but it's not like, oh, you will take the course and everything change.
Yeah,
So
that's it.
worthiness is like a foundation, but it's not like everything. I feel like it's like I mentioned it before, is the process of
The
becoming. Who are you
process.
becoming in the process, And with the money, I think it's the relationship with the money,
Yeah.
So for me, what really worked to literally 10 times my income was at the beginning of my journey. Now it's probably like 20 times more, but it was really like creating a relationship with money, because I realized I was treating money as a booty call. Like, now I want you, now I don't, now I want you, now I don't, now I
Yeah.
don't. But it was the relationship that I wouldn't want to have. Like, imagine, like, if you ask yourself right now, the way I'm treating money, would I like to be treated? Well, most
Yes.
people say no, because you don't check on your credit cards, you don't check on your bank account, you don't have any relationship, like you just want more of it, but you're ignoring it, or you're scared of it, or you feel like you don't have enough, or you're treating it like something dirty, like, oh,
Yeah.
like I got rid of it. So I had to first change my relationship with money, first realize that there has to be relationship with money.
Mm-hmm.
And what we started to do it with my husband. Oh my goodness, like over 3 years ago now, like maybe even more, because we're together almost 5 years, so maybe 4 years. Time flies.
Yes, it does.
We started to do money dates because,
Oh,
like me and my husband, we have like Friday dates, and sometimes it changes if we're
yes.
traveling with something. But if you want to have a good relationship with someone, you gotta pour energy into that relationship,
Mm-hmm.
time and energy, and you get to be really invested and really care, because what we appreciate appreciates. And if you say,
Absolutely.
oh, money is dirty and it's hard to combine, but I want more of it because I want my kids to have a better life, well, there is a resistance. You can bring something more of what you don't really love and respect and
Yeah.
value. And it's not like you love money above all, but you gotta have a relationship, right?
Yep.
So we have to start to change that. So we started to do our money dates every weekend,
Nice.
every week. We do a money dates when we not only like track our income and investments of that
Mm-hmm.
week, because that way we know where we are, where we heading, what can we change, what can we do more of.
Mm-hmm.
We also like write a letter to money. We write our short-term, long-term goals. And sometimes the love letter to money can be apology letter, like, hey, I've been ignoring you. Hey, like, I am open, and that was me. I'm open and willing to create relationship. I'm open and willing to learn to trust you,
Yeah.
and like, hey, this is weird for me, but I'm willing and open to do this so we can like create mutual respect. Like, that was my beginning with money. I said, like, hey, I was acting really bad, then I was ignoring you and neglecting you. Let's change it. Are you open? So with that, I started to feel more safe with myself
Yes.
and with money. So that's when everything started to change, and going from scarcity to more prosperity, right? But also starting to appreciate every single day the abundance I already have in my life.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's like 9 things that go right in your life, and
Yeah.
one thing
One
you want
that
to
you focus
improve.
on.
Yes, and then all of the 9 things, like, join it, because that's where you're putting all your focus. So acknowledge what would you like to improve. Like when I work with my one-on-one clients, like when I do check-in, I'm like, hey, how can we make this week even better than the last week? And what was good last week? What can we celebrate? And where do you want to support, and what would you like to improve? So I don't
Mm.
say like what was the problem or what sucked, or
Yep.
it's not the energy, but what do we want even better? Even if it
Absolutely.
was terrible, but how can we make it even better? Because then we are acknowledging there were some good parts, right?
Yeah, because we do tend to forget that. We start focusing so much on what didn't go right this week, and instead of focusing, and this is why gratitude is so important, and this is why just thinking back to all the good stuff that's happened is really important too. And I love the whole aspect of building that relationship with money, because I'm a big firm believer in that. And it's just like, you see people and they have money and they have it all scrunched up in their purse, and it drives me crazy because I go, well, would we like to be scrunched up and shoved in the corner? I was at one point like, you could get your purse. I mean, Feng Shui is a big one. They have a lot of really great, because Feng Shui is all about the energy and the chi in the home and around money and relationships and all sorts of things. And so I had this little bowl, and my purse would go in that every night, and I'd say goodnight to it. And people thought I was crazy, but hey, yes. But it was building that relationship with money. It was talking to it and saying, thank you so much for coming into my life. It was going down to the supermarket, and when you're paying out money, going, thank you, you were able to provide me with all of these groceries. Paying bills and going, oh, I'm so blessed to have you. So we were able to pay our electricity or our water or whatever it is. And so I think that that's really important, that we build that relationship. But if somebody's struggling at the moment, and we've all been there, if someone's struggling and they look in their bank account and they go, oh no, I've got like $5 to last me till the end of the week.
I was there,
Yeah, me
literally. I
too.
had $5, but I had $10. Literally, like a few years ago, I had $10
Yep.
to my name. And I'm like, okay, what do I do now? Like, do I buy gas to my car to go to work, or do I buy food?
Yeah.
So I've been there, so I know. And what I got to remind people, this is old news. What you're experiencing right now, it's
Is your
old
previous
news.
beliefs.
Yes, it's your previous beliefs and how you were treating money. So there's always time to change and change now.
Yeah.
And like, hey, I'm so happy I have $10. Let's put $5 to this and $5 to that, but also seeing the possibilities and expanding. Like when women come to me and they say like, oh my gosh, I wish I could go to your retreat. I wish I could go to your mastermind. I wish I could work with you, like, but I cannot afford it. I'm like, well, you just declare it you can.
Yeah.
So,
Exactly.
there you go. But you get to ask yourself, how can I?
Yeah.
And I have them like sit down and write down many different ways how money can come to their lives, because we are so like used to that there is like this channel and this channel and this channel, but that's not the source of money.
No.
The source of money, whatever you believe, God, universe, source, Allah, Buddha, I don't care, but there is like a different, like there is like one
From the
source
divine.
channeling everything else,
Yeah. Yeah.
So with your one channel like dries up, like, oh my God, what if my husband dies and cannot pay the bills anymore? What if
I lose my job?
Yes. And the thing is that that's just the channel. And that's why I have them like sit down and what are all other many ways that you can create money. And when they sit down and they have like 20 things, they're like, okay, I'm okay. There's many different ways. So we get to it really comes back, Jennifer, to feel safe.
Yeah.
You
Absolutely. And
and
I think it's about trust. And this is something that I try to explain to people throughout the Super Conscious Success platform and the interviews and all that sort of thing. It's about trusting that the divine has your back, trusting that the universe has your back. Like you said, God, Buddha, whatever, has your back, and that you're going to be okay. But I remember, as I started my own mindset work, as I started to do the reprogramming, because we're going to go into that in a few minutes. But I remember I was listening to this subliminal audio, and I was watching like I think it was a YouTube video, and it had like all these mansions, all these beautiful locations, and real wealth type images. And I was watching, and it had some affirmations behind it. And I think I was watching for about 15 or 20 minutes. And then I said, oh, I've got to go down to the supermarket and I've got to do some shopping. So I go outside and I'm walking out on the road, and right in front of me is a $100 bill. And it was just on the ground out of nowhere. And I'm going, wow, like this was just like totally unexpected. And I went, thank you, universe. Now I've got $100. I can go do my shopping. And, and I think that that's the thing, is that once we start to reprogram, once we start to think differently about money, we start to think differently about the relationship with it, then we're able to build and to grow. And it's all about our expansion as a human being. As you said, it's a process. It's not something that happens overnight, but it is so powerful. And so I want to actually go into, you've actually got the matters process, which is the acronym. And with that, the first one that we talk about is actually belief systems. So can you go a little bit into how important beliefs are when it comes to manifesting money?
Absolutely. And, like beliefs are the foundation. Mm-hmm. Beliefs are truly foundation, because beliefs are going to create your reality. Yeah. Because you can believe money, it's really hard, to come by. And I believe that the less I work, the more money I make. Well, that's my reality, and that's your reality. And as we mentioned before, like beliefs are formed when we are little kids, because up until the age 6, 7, we are in a different brain wave, alpha brain, when we can really
we absorb everything, don't we?
Everything, and you don't doubt it. So it's just scary, that 7, you're already like, okay, this is how my parents live, this is what I hear in the school, and you live by that. But is it still your truth? Like, look at the results you are getting, and if you're happy with it, well, keep going, right?
Yeah. But if you're not, then there needs to be some work done, and to rethink about it. Because I know growing up, when I was about 6 years old, so this was as all of that was being imprinted, I remember my parents, they were struggling financially because my dad got hepatitis. He was in hospital for like 6 months. They had no income coming in except for the little bit that they got from the government. And so I remember the electricity being shut off. I remember the, existing by candlelight. And although they tried to make it as enjoyable as they could, I remember, barely having enough food to eat, but my mum pretty much existing on plain rice just so she could give us food. And so at the age of 6, that is programmed. And then as I get older, then my parents are working their butts off to, make enough money to be able to support us. So that becomes the next belief, is that that's what you have to do. And so now we are so blessed because we have got so many different people out there that you can use as mentors, as guides, that you can look at and go, wow, if they can do it, so can I. If they've been able to do this, then they're no different to me. It's just that their belief system is saying, I'm worthy of it, I'm able to do it, and I've got value that I can offer people. Because I think when it comes down to money, that's what it is. It's an exchange for the value that you're offering. Mm-hmm. So I totally agree. The belief systems is where it all starts. Mm-hmm. So that was your first principle in that. The second one, you talk about aspirations. So can you go into the aspirations a little bit more? Because this is a really good one.
Aspirations, it's very powerful because, I feel that, again, like we mentioned before, it's about who you're becoming, right? Yes. In the process, like who do you aspire to be, and really having it goes from the belief into the aspiration, right? Like who do you aspire to be? And it's like connecting with the higher version of yourself. Yeah. It's really seeing the possibilities. It's really about expanding because, like I said, I was born and raised in a very small country and there's no aspirations. There's just like the work that I say, the life that I said, like you will live for the weekends and you will live for the vacations that you will be saving for the whole year.
Conscious Success fam, thanks so much for joining me in this interview. And I'm just taking a short break in the interview just to let you know about an exciting offer that I have for you. I'm just in the process of building the Super Conscious Success Inner Circle, which is going to be a free membership that you're going to be able to get access to, which is going to eventually, once I've got it all built up, include courses and exclusive content and a whole heap of other stuff that's going to be available for you to help you to expand that consciousness and to come into your power. And it'll include content from all of my different segments, from Super Conscious Success, Your Spiritual Shift, Raising a Conscious Human, and also Peace and Prosperity. And you'll include content from all of that, as well as the Self-Empowered Empath, Higher Self-Mastery, and a whole heap of other different collaborations and projects I have on the go. However, to get this free membership, you do need to go and sign up. So if you go to superconscioussuccess.com/inner circle, you can sign up absolutely free for it. As the content builds and I reach 1,000 subscribers, I will then be making it a premium product, which means that you will no longer get it for free. It will be a monthly charge. But if you get in now and you get into the free membership, then you will have that free for life. So head across now as we're in the building phase, and you'll start to get more and more awesome content flowing in. And yeah, so head on over there now, superconscioussuccess.com/inner circle. Now let's head on back to
who you are aspiring to really be. Who do you aspire to be in your life and for your family? So it's about expansion and expanding the possibilities and looking who you can become in the process. It's so powerful.
It is so powerful. And this is where things like scripting come in really, really handy, because I love it. I love being able to sit down and write out, okay, what is my vision of myself? What is my vision that my higher self is trying to download to me? What is what am I going to aspire to become? And I think that sometimes we're pretty locked in and we have a hard time really expanding and dreaming big, as I say, because as we're kids, I don't know if you were, this happened to you at school, but when we were at school, we'd be sitting there and we'd be daydreaming. And daydreaming is a great way of being able to figure out, who you want to be. And then we'd all of a sudden be told to stop daydreaming, or would be, whacked on the hand or whatever it was, and told, stop, focus, get back to. And I think us being told at such an early age that we can't dream, or dreaming is foolish, or, you're never going to be able to do that because, that's way outside of our comfort zone. Because we all live in our comfort zone, don't we?
Yes.
Yeah. And I think that dreaming big is so, so powerful. So I love that. Aspirations. Who do you aspire to be? And then we go into, as you've already spoken about, you've spoken about the time with money to build the relationship. So it's really important to build a relationship with the money.
And making it non-negotiable, because that's the thing, like with everything, like, oh, I don't have time, or I'm too tired, and whatever, and it's not like, ideally we do it every week, but if I'm feeling unwell, or if we're traveling, we do it bi-weekly, or if it happens that we had like, launch month, like we were launching Summit and Book, and I was traveling, and I just yesterday traveled back from a mastermind, and I'm hosting VIP experience this week with my one-on-one clients here in Tulum. It's full. So maybe I don't have an hour or two to sit with the money, but listen, I texted, and I know it sounds crazy, but like I text myself, but I'm pretending I'm texting money, and I'm like, hey, thank you so much for being patient with me this week as I am, traveling, and I have so much on a plate. I'm so excited that we will sit down together and really like dive deeper as this like, like winds down. So it's really about the intention to have the relationship, and learn how to treat it differently, and learn how you want to be treated. Start treating your money that way.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it because I'm very big with that. And I think be conscious as to how you're treating it. Be conscious as to, people are so frightened when they get a bill come in. They're so frightened. And I've kind of turned it around, and I've gone, look, we're actually really blessed, because if you look at your electricity and your water and that, they're actually trusting you, and they're giving it in advance. And then you have the ability to be able to, as I said, money is value. So it's an exchange. And so I think if you can, they talk about, writing little smiley faces and stuff on the checks as you send them in, and saying thank you and all that sort of thing. There's so many different things that you can do. So I love that whole relationship that you have with money, and I love that you put that as part of your process, because it's really important. What about, and then we did speak about the next one, which was trust. That's trusting in yourself, in others. And then you talk also about the higher power. Now, super conscious success is all about that higher power. It's all about the highest version of ourselves, the super conscious. So can you give me your definition of the higher power? And we spoke a little bit before about how, if you have that trust in the divine, then they're going to open up different channels to you. So you let me know about your definition as to your higher self.
It's really fascinating, because I don't love labels. It's more about feeling and really trusting. Like, I know there's something bigger, and I don't need to give it a name. And because like in the past, it was like I didn't like the word God, and I didn't like the because that was like forced upon, right? Like it's this way, and you have to act proper way, and I'm like, it didn't make sense again to me, like why we would be created, and then we are sinners, and then we have to redeem ourselves, and then go together. I'm like, no, there is heaven on earth, right? Like that's why we are here, to experience it all.
That's what I've always said. I've always said, look, when people talk about that, and I say, well, we create our own heaven and hell on earth. And so it's where we are right now, and we can choose. Where do we want to be? Do we want to be in a world that is a heaven, that is full of joy and abundance and prosperity, or do we want to live in a place where it's full of, poverty and greed and all of that sort of thing? So I love how you put that, heaven on earth. It's awesome.
Yeah, so that's what I believe, in the beginning it was just like universe, because I want to give it
Yes.
some name. And after reading Gabby Bernstein book, The Universe Has Your Back,
Yeah, I love that one. Yeah.
It really, really reminded me to have that trust and surrender, really surrender to that higher power, not give up, but surrender, because I am trusting and I know there is something even better for me. And my husband, he comes from Christian family, and he was like always like rebel and refusing the religion, but his parents were never like forcing or anything. They're very loving, very present, very supportive people, and they're in like non-denominational church. So lately, like, we have been joining them on the masses, because I'm like, it's completely different than the religion I experienced in Czech Republic. It's like modern, and they have a music, and the pastor is wearing jeans, and he works out, and he's talking about our daily life and his family, and like stories from like grocery store. I was like, I can relate to this, So I feel like the labels are not important, but the feeling is, and just knowing that we are all held, guided, and supported. And I truly, deeply believe that it all comes to love.
Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
that's all that is, right? Like whatever religion, name everything, it comes down to love, that we are love, and we come here to love and live in love. So it might seem and sound like utopia, but I truly believe that that's the main
Well, that's
purpose.
what source is. Source is all love, and there is nothing else. And it's when our ego gets involved, that's when we start to have fear and all sorts of other things. So if we just trust and we stay in that place, then we don't have to worry about any of that. So I love that. So that's the next one, is to trust in yourself, and trust in yourself, as we talked about self-worth. Trust in yourself that you have everything that you need within you to create the life that you were designed to create. Because we're all co-creators on this earth, and no matter what we're creating, it's there for a purpose. And so, I've always been a big one on believing that my purpose here is actually one of connection. And it's one because I believe that if people work together, if people collaborate, if people, work together to be able to provide value to others, then we can make some massive change in this world. And help people to become the best versions of themselves. So that's amazing. And then we talk about expansion. So what's possible when I have the money? And this is a really fun one, because if you can actually get into that place of actually dreaming it and actually thinking what is possible. Because that's the problem, isn't it? We don't actually think, okay, what is possible? Like we get to a certain threshold, and then we can't go any more than that. So how important do you think it is for us to sort of like be starting to gradually move up that threshold as to what we are capable of?
If you want to more in life, you gotta believe that you can have and handle that more in your life. So it's really fun to be expanding. And I remember when we started to do this exercise with my husband, and we were just writing down, like, what would we do when we have that money? And I would be like, oh, I would go and get massages, and I would go to spa, and I would eat in nice restaurants, and I will have a cleaning lady, and I will have a private chef, and I will like send money to my mom and my grandma, and I will retire my mom, and I would travel to exotic places and live in a beautiful tropical location. And looking back, I am all of that. I was writing it down. It was like in my mind, I'm like I cannot even pay my rent. How will I retire my mom? Right.
Yep.
So it's very important to like fuel those possibilities, and from place of like positive expectation and eagerness versus like, oh, this sucks, like look at where I am now, like I cannot get from here. But when you can evoke that feeling like, oh, Christmas is tomorrow, I know it's happening,
Yep.
it's different. You're fueling your those dreams, and it's like placing the order with the source and say, hey, this is important to me. And listen, it doesn't work for all of us the same, because I'm also, studying past 4 years of human design. And
Mm-hmm.
even when I started my coaching business, I'm like, oh, everybody, it's like me, like you got to be specific and do scripting, and you have to do a Pinterest board, and you have to do, because that's how I did it. That's how I created my multiple six-figure business, right?
Yes.
Heading to
Yeah.
7. And I'm like, and then I realized through human design, we're not all the same. Some people
No.
are specific manifestors and some are non-specific. So really check in with yourself, like what feels more expansive to you. When you're more general, like, oh, I would love to live in a house that it's safe and nice for me and my family, close to the water, and then forget it, right? Like where exactly it's going to be. Or are you specific like me, that you will be
Yeah.
like, I want a 5-bedroom house, and we have a green, beautiful backyard, and we have a king bed in every room, and you go into like all the
Yeah,
details,
I'm the
right?
same. I've got like these visions right next to the beach and what my house is going to look like, and I've got real specific. I have to be super specific with my visions.
Mhm.
But I think, like you said, that depends on the individual person. And I think that if you're still at that place that you've got blocks, if you're still at that place where you think of something specific and you go, I'm not capable of getting there, then going general is a really good way of doing it, because it's not pressured. And because
Mhm.
sometimes when you're super specific, you feel pressure. It's like, oh, but what if I don't get that exact house? Or what if I don't bring in that amount of money? So I think that's for those people that are maybe still at that place, then going general is a really good way of doing it. And just going,
Mhm.
I just want to have a beautiful house that's, by the beach, and it's got a feeling of freedom and a feeling of love, and it's cozy, or whatever you want to put, 2-story house, whatever it is. And I think that's a lot easier for some people. So I
Mhm.
think until you get to that real expanded place where you can then start saying, okay, well, what locations do I want to go visit? Where do I want to live? What experiences do I want to have? What sort of cars do I want? And I think once you've done that, then you can start to trust and go, you know what, I've put it all out there. Because don't you think that sometimes what happens is we put it all out there, but then we focus on it so much, and it brings it back to that lack of trust, that we continue to ask over and over and over again for it. And
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like you get to like know what you desire and then release it to the universe,
yeah,
like, because imagine like sometimes we're trying to micromanage the universe and it doesn't work. Like good luck with that. Like I don't have to worry if there will be a sunshine this morning and if there will be fresh air, or if I will just choke myself with no air in the middle of the day. Like
yeah,
there's a higher power who is running all of this,
mm-hmm,
and we get to let it to bring us everything we need, like all the moving components. Like
mm-hmm,
yes, have your vision, and I always say I want this or something better, right? Like I
yeah,
want to make $100,000 a month or something even better, like whatever it is for you,
yes.
like this or something even better. And trusting that even if things are not happening as you plan, because listen, like you can have plan and God will be laughing about it. Like
Yeah.
we had
He'll go, that's not for you.
or not right now,
Yeah, not
there's
right now.
better, or you gotta learn something else. Like I personally, we plan with my husband, like this year to get pregnant, and then in May we got pregnant, and in July we lost our baby. I didn't plan for that,
No.
and I was like heartbroken, and I'm
Mm,
still healing through that. I didn't plan for that. I had to completely surrender and
yeah.
say, there must be something even better. There must be something even better. And God knows what it's
Or maybe
doing.
there's just a different time.
Yeah.
And
So
that's the
it's
thing.
about
I mean,
surrender.
yeah, I understand. I mean, I lost my first one as well, and but it was the timing. I just moved across to Germany with my husband, and we got pregnant pretty much straight away, and then I lost that baby, and then, you know, I got pregnant again, and that one was fine. So I think that it's a timing thing. Trust in the divine timing, because we may put our visions out there, but understand that the universe has a lot of different things it has to organize in order for that to happen. So it's not just a matter of, okay, we put it out there, and, you know, some people are instant manifestors, and these are the people that are like super conscious. They're like super tuned in and tapped in, and they have no doubts and nothing like that. But generally, for most of us, it takes time. It takes time for us to be able
It
to
depends
change
on
those
what
beliefs.
resistance we have. You know, I
Exactly.
feel like I'm an instant manifestor in certain things, and
Yes.
it depends like how much you care. Well, like I
Yeah.
care, but I don't care so much, right? And when you care too much, that's when it's like that neediness comes in. It's like having a needy boyfriend, right? Like we're texting you every 5 minutes, and then it's freaking out because you didn't reply in 10 minutes because you went in the shower, right?
Yeah.
We don't want that. We get rid of that, and that's what we're sometimes doing to the universe, right? Like, I want it now and give it to me now, and I need it now, right? And it's just like, hey, like chill, just chill, you know, trust and distract
And
yourself.
enjoy your life in the meantime. You know, live your purpose, live your vision, and keep acting as though it's already happened, because it's all within you. And this is what I say. Look, we've got to believe that we are already that which we vision. It's just bringing it into manifestation. So so that's the next one that you're talking about. Then you're talking about receiving richness. So that's the whole concept of receiving, right? And accepting. And so go into that just a little bit.
It's so fascinating because I work with women, you know, those are my like only clients, and women have such a challenge to receive.
Yes.
Such a challenge to receive, because we're like, I gotta deserve this, and I'm such a giver, and I'm such a good-hearted person, so I gotta give you a gift. And they don't remember that it's a full circle of receiving and feeling safe to receive, right? Our body literally was made to receive, right? So we get to go back into feeling safe in our body. In tune our body with like feeling safe to receive. It's okay to receive. Even just like imagine like compliment, you know, like when somebody compliments us, like, oh, I love your dress. Oh, it was just $5, or I have it for so many years. Or we start explaining instead of say thank you. Like we get to start with that. So this is what I'm teaching my clients, like start receiving the little things, like somebody opens the door, somebody smiles at you. Like I tell them to make a list of the things they're already freely receiving, because there is a resistance, like, oh, it's hard for me to charge this and this, and it's hard for me to raise my prices. I'm like, listen, when people pay, they pay attention.
Yeah, absolutely. I've always said that, is that, you know, there's so much free stuff out there, and, you know, it's great to offer value, some free value with some things, but I find they don't pay the attention that they normally would if they had to pay for it. And so that's what I do want to go into now that we've sort of like segued to the clients and to charging money. How do we, as business owners, as entrepreneurs, be able to say, okay, I would like to be earning this much a month, like you said, $100,000 or better, or $10,000 or better, or whatever your amount is. But we have that block that that nobody's going to pay that much for my program. And nobody's going to, you know, how am I going to find those clients? Because there's so much emphasis on competition in today's society.
Competition, you know,
Me
it's
neither.
not possible. There is no competition at all. Competition, it's a masculine trait, right? Like I gotta compete, I gotta survive, I gotta compete to get go hunt and get the food for my family. We don't have to do that. When you look at the cities like New York, it's a completely masculine city, and it's a competition, it's a rush, and it's a fast, and we all have the masculine and feminine energy within us. You just gotta know when to use it, right? And I always tell my clients, when you want to attract more richness, you gotta become the magnet. You gotta be confident. It's confident that sells. It's not this price or this price. When I started coaching almost 6 years ago, Jennifer, I was charging $100 a session, and I was thinking
Yep.
like, oh my gosh, it's so much money, because in my corporate I was doing around like $30 an hour, which is fantastic. Like
Yeah.
like that's 6 years ago, when like the minimum wage was like $9, $8. So I was doing well. And I'm like, well, if I'm coaching, I want to do like more than that. So if we triple it, I was like, wow, blown
Wow.
away.
Yeah.
And then as you go, you grow and you learn, and you're like, wow, it's not just the coaching that I like come, because I used to do them in person back in Las Vegas. So you gotta drive somewhere, meet the client, you with the client. You get
Didn't
to
have
like,
Zoom back then, did we?
we
We had
did.
Skype, didn't we?
I was doing Zoom already.
You were doing Zoom. See, I only
Yeah.
came into contact with Zoom a couple of years ago. I was doing Skype before that.
I
And
had Skype when I was maybe in high school. So but you start to like see the value you're pouring out there to your clients. You're starting to see the results. So you start to believe in yourself more, right? So I remember how stressed I was. Like, I'm like, wow. So one session, I was thinking it's like 1 hour, right, with the client, but it's the before, the after, the follow-up, blah, blah, blah. And you're now on 2-3 hours. I'm like, well, that's not so great then, right?
no.
And I was stressing back then, like, nobody will pay me if I charge it $150. And I had to work through that belief. And I realized, I'm like, Petia, listen, there are people who are paying like literally stupid money for paintings that 5-year-old could make. And they pay like millions of dollars for it. There is a market for everyone and everything. And if you have a desire on your mind, if you have a passion for you in your heart, and you can teach something, show something, make someone's lives better, they will pay you for it. So that's how I grown. And now I'm charging, like between $1,200 and $1,500 a session. And I have a 2 days intensive, $5,000. And like my mentor, she's not even doing one-on-one calls, but when she was doing them, she was doing like $10,000 for a call.
Yeah, that's amazing. But that's because she believes that she's worth it.
In herself. She believes in herself and in the value she's providing. So believe in yourself. Nobody will do this for you. Like, I have my clients and they're so brilliant, and some of them, they catch on fire so quickly. Like, I had a client who was making $800 in her business. When she didn't have money to hire me. She had to take a business loan. And even before our first call, I was coaching her on Voxer. That's like walkie-talkie app that I talk with my clients. It's a free app. So I was coaching her through abundance, because she was freaking out, like, Petia, what if I cannot pay the loan back? What if I blah, 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 go bankruptcy, end up on a street? Like, she has these real fears.
The blocks,
I worked her through that, even without like jumping on a call. That was just Voxer. Before we even jump on a call, she made $5,000.
Yeah, amazing.
When we say yes, when we declare yes, when we invest in ourselves, we become magnetic. There is something that shifts and changes. And then I have clients I had one client, it took her like 8 months, but now she's making 5-figure months. And the first 5-figure month, when she used to do like $1,800 a month, charging like $100 or $200 a session.
Yeah.
Now, the first 5-figure month, when it finally everything clicked, she made $13,000. And she was like, Petia, I never worked less in my life. So easy. So it's really about tuning yourself into the belief and peeling off those layers. And listen, having that support and guidance. She told me, like, Petia, I couldn't do this without you.
Yeah.
Because I'm very caring, very loving. I make them feel safe. I'm like, some of them, they call me their guardian angel. Some of them, they're like Mama Petia, Mama Bear. Because I truly deeply care, and I care lovingly. I'm not here to bust their booty because they're so hard on themselves already. And listen, there are times that I call them on their BS because they're sitting in their stuff. And I'm like, that's not how we work. That's not how we move through it. But it's very loving way. And you get to realize that when you are fully embracing who you are, when you realize you're perfectly made for your purpose, then you allow people come to you. Your clients will come to you because, like, oh my God, I relate to this story. I trust you. Like, I just paid 5 figures to join a mastermind, with She was just a guest on my podcast. We kept the relationship. I don't even know everything she's offering there. I'm like, listen, I love you. I trust you. I want to come because I saw her in past 4 years. Like she skyrocketed. I'm like, oh my gosh. And like,
Yeah.
I see where you are. And like, we met on our journey and you're like flying. I was like, bring me with you.
Yeah.
You gotta invest. It's like you gotta pay to play the game. And listen, at the beginning, I just listened to the podcast, did the free courses that I didn't pay attention. Then you start paying, and it's scary. But when you invest,
Yes.
you're invested and you're telling the universe, hey, I'm serious.
Mm-hmm.
And then you gotta allow yourself to be guided and trust.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It all comes down to that. It all comes down to what you believe you are worth and what you believe your value is. And, you know, and I totally agree. You do need to invest to be able to move forward. I mean, there are some 5, 6 figure masterminds out there that are just doing incredible work. And people will pay those prices.
Mm-hmm.
But once you've actually got the concept of money and you've built that relationship with money. Okay, so I've kept you for an hour already, but as I ask all my guests, what are 3 things, if you could recommend to our listeners today, that could help start them on their track towards that abundance?
Absolutely. So I feel like it all starts in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
How you're feeling in the morning, it's going to translate to end the rest of your day. So every morning I make myself feel like the queen that I am, because the way I feel about myself, others will be treating me the rest of the day, rest of the week, rest of the month. So creating a morning rituals and routines that really work for you. It doesn't have to be strict and rigid, but really, what does make you feel abundant? What does make you feel rich? Like for me, what makes me rich and abundant, it's just like stretching in our huge king bed and you know, covering my husband if he's home and not in the gym, and my dog, and knowing that I can do whatever I want in the morning, right? Like there's no alarm. So first it's like create a morning routine. The second would be like really surround yourself with people who believe in you and who have the vision, because if not, many people are crabs. And you know, like the analogy and story of the crabs, like you put crabs in a bucket, and when with the lid off, right, and one crab starts to crawl out, the others will bring it down. Don't be surrounded with crabs. Surround yourself with people who believe in you and who will believe your vision. And some people you will get to let go, some people renegotiate a relationship, but who you surround yourself will literally determine on where you're heading and where you will be. And the third, it's you really got to invest in yourself. Like I can, listen, it doesn't matter if you first invest just your time and energy, and then $100 and then $1,000. Like last year I invested $60,000 into my personal development and growth and health. It's like it gets to be there. So, you know, like morning routine, and then really being surrounded by the right people that really inspire you and motivate you. And the third one, it's you gotta invest to grow.
Absolutely. That's fantastic. And I 100% agree with all of that. Now, before I let you go, can you let our listeners know where they can find you and, you know, how they may be able to invest in themselves with you?
Absolutely. So my favorite place to connect is Instagram. That's where I am, you know.
Awesome.
So Instagram is my name, Petia Kolibova, and I know Jennifer will put it in the show notes because nobody
absolutely will.
And the same, it's like my website, you know, just petiakolobova.com. And my podcast, like Jennifer mentioned, it's Unapologetically Abundant, because I truly believe that when we become unapologetically ourselves, that's when the abundance comes.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to speak to us today. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. And it's a topic that I'm so passionate about. So thank you so much for your time, Petia.
Thank you so much, Jennifer, for having me and all the work you're doing.
Thank you.